So in the previous video, we created the foundation, pilings, grade beams, and the slab. The next thing we're going to do is come in and put the frame in here, or the columns for the frame first. So we're going to go ahead and put all the columns in for all the footings that we don't have columns on yet, which means also those for this other stairwell right here. And so we have to make some decisions about, well, where is this column going to go? And one thing we know, it's going to have to sit down on top of the footing. Now, one thing you may notice as we come in here, that the slab I drew in the last video, we did not put the notches in so that it went around. This would be filled in or grouted in later. It's not important for what we're doing in this class to model that part of it, and probably in the profession you wouldn't model that kind of detail into this anyway. Some people might, but others would not, because it's actually going to be filled in as it shows right here eventually anyway. But nonetheless, we're not going to worry about that. We're just going to go ahead and put our columns in. So we can see our column here, and we need to determine where it's going to go from and to. And one thing is, we know we want it to begin on the top of the footing, so it's going to start on that top of footing level, and then it's going to go up past our finished floor 32 inches. Remember, because we want that column to go beyond the finished floor, so it's easier for people to work from the deck on, as far as setting the next set of columns on top of it. So with that information now, let's go ahead and put all of our columns in. And to do that, we can do that fairly simply. So first is to go into structure, columns, and then we need to pick a column. In our case, I chose a W1033, which was already in here. You know, and I chose that by looking at Alan and Ano Studio Companion book, as well as in your textbook by Ching, Building Construction Illustrated. To get other sections, what we would do is we can go in and load a family. In this case, we wouldn't modify these to create a new one. We would go in to U.S. Imperial, structural framing here. We go into steel. And there we would see the different shapes. We pulled the K bar joist earlier for the previous project. And here we're going to pull out wide flange, just a W wide flange, not a welded wide flange, but a W wide flange. That means it's instead of the flange and the web being or molded, they're welded together. Okay, and that's a WWF. But here we wanted a rolled wide flange. And so we would just open that up. And then from that list, remember in my lecture, I said that there were standards the industry had. Well, these are all the standard sizes and widths of webbing and weights and everything. And we could just pick from that list and then add it to our and no, I don't want to add. So, but I already have in the file what you need, and that's the W1033. So we're going to select W1033. And now we're going to put that in as a column. The fact that it's standing vertically means that we're going to use it as a column rather than as a beam. So it's not much different. So anyway, so right up here, we need to set. We want this not to be a slanted column. So, and be careful, the default is a slanted column. I don't know why they did that. I guess, when they were creating this template, they set this to slanted, but we want a vertical column. We want it to start at top of footing. We want to determine its height, okay? And we want it to go up to second level. Now, right now, we can't set in that 32 inches. So what I'm going to do is put the first one in, and then I'm going to readjust it. So top of footing height, okay? We're ready. We might want to rotate this at placement, so we'll wait. We need to make this top of view active. That's the reason it wasn't snapping. And so I'm going to place that first one right there. Okay. And boom, it's in. Notice that it's just shown as little lines. It's not very thick, and that's because it's set to coarse. I'm going to set this to medium. Okay. And so the width of and of course the frame runs in this direction. I'm going to hit escape key and get out of this just for a second. We notice this frame is running this direction, right? As we can see right here, the frame. So this next column right here, that's going to define the frame. And so we know that the girder is going to be between those columns, and girder's attached to the flange. So I'm going to select that, and I'm just going to rotate it 90 degrees, okay, around its center, so that the girder will connect to the flange and not connect to the web of the beam. So the next thing we want to do is put columns at the rest of these. We could copy this. Oh, we need to set the height. I almost forgot. Okay, so let's click on this. We determined that it should be at the base level should be the top of the footing, and that the top level should be at the second finished floor, but 32 inches beyond that. So I'm going to type in 32 here, and so it should be 2 foot 8 inches. We'll apply that, and now that column should be the same height as this column here. And so now we can do one of two things. One is select the column and go create similar. Okay, I selected it, right-clicked on my mouse, and then went to create similar. And now I've got that beam. You notice it's in the wrong direction, so we'll probably want to rotate it after we select it. The other alternative, of course, is just to copy it. Okay, so I can select that, go into the copy command, and now it's going to be already rotated. So I can just copy this. We'll put it here. We'll put it here. Whoops, should have done multiples. So let's do a copy again. And let's go up here and select multiples so that it'll keep copying for us. So I'm going to copy there. And we're going to copy here. This is at the stair, right? This is the crossing of the stairs there. Stairs. And once again, the engineer may decide that these columns need to be different sizes. For what we're doing and what we're trying to understand through this is we're not going to worry about that. We'll let the engineer worry about it because that's what he's paid for to do, or she's paid to do. Okay, so now we have all the columns in. We can see them over here in our 3D view. Okay, and they should be the appropriate height. If we want to check, we could do this and just kind of eyeball it and say, yeah, they're the appropriate height. Or we could go into a 2D view, which would actually have the level lines in there, and we could look at it. But we don't really need to do that. We're just going to go with that. So now we've got our first level of columns. The next thing we want to do is add the girders, okay, in for this. So that'll be these members here, these girder members, and all we're going to do is have one that goes from here to here, and one that goes from here to here, and here to here, here to here, there, okay, to create, in a sense, the frame. Matter of fact, we probably weren't going to put a girder in between this column and this column because that will be just a beam, okay? So we're going to go here at each one of the major grids, okay? Here, 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 okay? And that'll be in the next video.